I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is our moment of silence. During our moment of silence, I ask that you please pray for those in California. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason.
Present.
Trustee Reinders.
Present.
Trustee McNaughton.
Present.
Trustee Consolino.
Present.
Trustee Fialco.
Present.
Trustee Stylen. Present. Mayor Knightsky-Troicke.
Present. Next is community recognition. I would like to recognize Maureen O'Riordan. I see that she's here today. If you could come up to the podium for me. I apologize that we don't have many people in the crowd tonight. It's usually a packed room, but this is the first meeting after the holidays. So I invited Maureen here tonight. I actually invited Laura's family, and they unfortunately couldn't come because they had another obligation tonight. But what Maureen does is something very important. From what I understand, you're with Ellie Strong.
I am, yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about Ellie Strong?
Yes. So Ellie Strong is a 501c non-for-profit. It started back in 2019. I'm also here on behalf of Kyle Kuching, which was Ellie's mother. She started it when Ellie passed away in 2019 after an 8-year battle with brain tumors. Since then, the foundation has grown huge, well, not huge, but huge to a small community. It's not all over the place, but very big. We help Lamont, Homer Glen, Lockport. Last year, Steve Clausen and was of Lockport. He was an adult male, and I forget what the other one was. But either way, this year we have Rigo and Taylor Flory of Downers Grove. And we do a giant fundraiser and benefit batch each year, and it pretty much all the money goes to those two families. So it'll be held at Heroes West on February 8th. There are billiards, bowling, everything included in the ticket price. I did leave different little cards in case anyone wants to purchase tickets. Yes.
Pass them out.
Okay, yes, I left them there too, sorry. But it really is just a great foundation all in general. And all,
So yeah, so we have one of our own residents, Rigo. He is 9 or 10, somewhere in there?
10, yes.
10, he's 10. And Rigo is a Homer Glen resident. Sorry, I have an echo here. And the proceeds go to both Taylor and Rigo, correct? And I
Yes.
heard that Rigo got to ring his bell.
he did
Yeah.
finally get to. But as everyone knows, there's tons of bills that come along with any family that comes along with cancer. And also any family within Homer or the surrounding areas, if they are ever interested, you could go to elliestrongforever.com, and we do not just the giant benefit bash, there's different fundraisers throughout the year, including just different donations that we give to help families at their own cost. So it's not even like just medical bills. You could literally use it for anything that you see fit as your family. So it's a really nice foundation, all local, great for local families.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to take a moment and recognize you and Ellie Strong Foundation for all of the things that you guys do and taking on one of our residents. I know it is a huge undertaking, so we do appreciate what you're doing, and I recommend to this village that we all get together and share this foundation's information and try to get as much as we can and much help as we can for Rigo and Taylor. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there any amendments to the agenda? Is that Trustee Consolino?
Yeah, so I'd like to pull out a consent agenda on page 10, the billing for Peterson, Johnson, and Murray. And we could put that under legislative 1A.
Consent agenda?
Well, you're pulling the whole.
You're pulling, yeah, the whole item number 1.
The whole item out of 1, I want Peterson and Johnson, which starts on page 10, and continues to page 11 for the amount of $24,148.91.
So you're just asking for that one portion,
Just
not
the
the
one
rest of
portion.
the consent agenda? Can we do that, just that small portion, or do you have to do the whole consent?
You can do it piecemeal if you want.
Just the small portion? Okay, so I gotta look that up, because I gotta remember what to call it.
It's on page, it starts on page 10, the amount is on page 11.
I don't. Trustee Consolino, I don't see what you're, oh, I see it now, it's right here. It's right here. Yep, I see. Oh, and I see here, okay, got it. Okay. You want that to be L1?
Yes.
3? Oh,
Could do it
let's
as-
call it 1A. All right. There's no motion on that, right? Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, does the number now needs to change under the consent agenda?
No, because we're just pulled out a portion of it. Okay, was it?
The amount.
Oh.
The amount.
Trustee Consolino, would you just be okay if we removed the entire consent agenda, the item 1, out of the, it would just make it simplify it, and we'll just remove item 1, and then when we get to it under L1, we can talk about that portion then.
It's always been pulled out before, so I don't understand why it wasn't this
I
time.
don't know either, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know why either.
We had legal.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Manager Baber, can I ask you a question? Because you're right on that. The items on page 10 that Trustee Consolino is referencing, were those paid already?
Those would be going out in the next accounts payable after tonight's meeting.
Check date December 13th. So the total bill is for 24,000.
I think the check was just printed already and waiting for approval.
Correct.
Okay.
For one total amount of $24,000.
Yeah.
Separate checks for 24,000.
Yeah, not separate checks.
These are all separate invoices. I don't understand.
Okay, sorry that, and I don't think we're supposed to be discussing this right now, but if you look at page 10, there's, the dollar amounts are all the same, but they're different invoice numbers. Yes. So why is that? Because it's not the same dollar amount per invoice or per check.
Correct. We had asked the law firm to break down their individual invoices so that it's easier for us to understand what we're being billed for. It's where there are individual invoices for each of those matters.
And here's the dollar down here.
So combined, they reached the.
They reached the 24,000.
All right, let me just do the math real fast. We'll just pull that portion out.
That's
and
what I was saying.
So if you were to take the 1,500,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
549.60 and subtract the 24,148.91, that would be your new.
I have it. It's
Incentive.
1,511,400,169. Okay, got it. Okay. Was there any other amendments to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make the move. I'll second.
Trustee Fialko, Trustee Mason, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. Do I have to do another motion to approve? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Reinders?
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of minutes, seeming there is none. Is there public comment tonight?
There is no public comment.
Woo, I think we're going to have a record meeting tonight. Reports and communication, maybe I just jinxed us. Reports and communication from president and other officers. Village manager Joe Baber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Obviously, from the size of the agenda tonight, everybody was enjoying their holidays and much business was not being conducted for the last 2 weeks. So happy holidays to all and Happy New Year. On reporting for Behavioral Health and Addiction Recovery Committee, hopefully everybody made it through the holidays with little stress through the families and everything came out well for everybody. The committee is planning a panel discussion sometime in March, more information to follow. That concludes my report.
Okay, village trustees, trustee McNaughton.
Yes, thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone, as well as happy belated birthday to Trustee Mason and Trustee Reinders from a couple of days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And some excellent updates from the Economic Development Committee, just a roundup for 2024 and some insight into the work that has been undertaken so far in 2025. We added an additional 23,000 new square footage, commercial expansions, relocations, and improvements in 2024, added an additional 13 new businesses to the village. We have 11 more businesses that are intent on opening in 2025. We had 10 businesses that were retained through expansions, relocations, and renovations. We had just over $3.5 million of capital investment into the village for new construction and remodeling. We now have over 1.3 million square foot of retail space, and only 2% of that is actually vacant. We also had an additional 44 new home permits that were approved in 2024 for the village. So great work to the Economic Development Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mason?
Nothing to report. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. I know I did, and Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Steilen?
Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. And the Community Development Committee has changed their meeting time, or meeting day, so we will be meeting on January 28th. From now on, it's the 4th Tuesday of the month.
Trustee Reinders?
At our last Parks meeting, H.R. Green presented to the committee the possibility of future trail plans, points of interest to the community, and different trail connections as part of an update to our transportation plan. They are putting together a presentation that will be presented on our website. So I would just encourage all of our residents to look for that and give us their input. We would welcome any of their ideas that they think would work for the village. Also, I wanted to give an update on the year end of the parks budget. The Parks Improvement Fund is finishing out the year with approximately $2.4 million in the black. And that is actually after we have $1 million being held as placeholders for various projects already in the works. And I also wanted to let everybody know that the date for A&F has changed, and it will be January 15th, just this month, at 2 o'clock. We'll go back to our regular schedule next month. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Fialco?
Yes, happy New Year to the village and everyone here. Happy birthday to Trustee Mason and Trustee Reinders, and I don't have anything else other than that. Just good words to give.
Oh, great. Trustee Consolino?
Happy New Year, everybody. Reporting for Environment Committee. Our committee discussed offering newly planted trees either through the committee's spring or fall plantings or through surplus parkway trees for market donations. We're not going to be changing any of the pricing, but we feel like if we do this on a first come, first serve basis, that we will be able to give a few trees to those that ask for it first. We'll put information up on the website, so if they can't afford a memorial tree, this will be an option. And then we're also reviewing the tree preservation ordinance, and so we hope to bring something soon before the board. Okay. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. Village clerk?
No report.
Village attorney?
No report.
Public safety officials? Okay, and so me. Couple things. The Ability Awareness Committee has a lot of fun things coming our way for 2025. We're partnering up with the library to do a bi-monthly sign language course. It's going to be free to the residents. We really want to start pushing that. We're going to do a beginner's course, and then once they pass their class, then we'll do an intermediate course and so forth. So we really want to start promoting that. I think it's a great asset to the village. They are also going to pair up with someone, we're not really sure yet, we're talking about maybe the churches or whatnot for a special needs Easter egg hunt, which would be fun to do. And they have a lot of like roundtable ideas and a lot of fun things going on. One thing I wanted to mention was, which Mr. Trustee McNaughton, I didn't think that you mentioned, but we have our building grant going on. We've already awarded $16,857,000 out there already, but we still have about $43,000 to give to businesses for improvements to their business. And then some of the businesses along Bell Road were asking about the signage. That is underway, correct, Joe? It's going to be put up this week, next week, some soon. What else was I going to add? As we just heard from Mr. Reardon earlier today, as I stated earlier, we do have a resident, Rigo, and he's not the only resident. We have other residents and I always say cancer doesn't have a zip code or doesn't have an age, but I think it's really important that we get out and support, especially our residents or anybody that's suffering for cancer right now. And just a reminder that it is Saturday, February 8th from 6 to 11 at Harrow's West in Lamont. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval for the accounts payable for the period of December 13th, 2024 through January 9th, 2025 in the amount of $1,511,400.69?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Trustee
second.
Reinders, Trustee Mason. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
No.
Trustee Fialko.
Abstain.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, is there a motion to approve, I'm sorry, moving on to legislation and action items. Is there a motion to approve the Peterson, Johnson, and Murray, oh my God, legal bills for, I don't have.
$24,148.91, and I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
None. I went through it. I know Joe did his job, did due diligence. As he stated, it's broken down, and it's very easy to read, so I have no issues.
Trustee Reinders?
I agree with Trustee Mason.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
No, I just, as usual, we didn't have A&F, and I just want to make sure that Joe went through the bills and that they met his,
All invoices were
Careful eye.
accounted for. Yes,
for all
sir.
the bills.
Yep.
Thank you.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee McNaughton? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
No.
Trustee Fialko.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 1, consider for approval an ordinance granting a variance to permit a mix of stone and fiber cement siding materials on the first floor of the dwelling in lieu of exterior construction standards 75-67A, applicability and scope, type of building or structure of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located in the R1 Single Family Residential District at 13857 South King Road, Homer Glen, Illinois.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Consolino and Trustee
I'll
Mason.
second.
All right, Trustee Consolino?
No, it's par for the course for what's around them. Even after driving through and double checking, I see no problems with this.
Okay, Trustee Mason?
I checked with several of the trustees, Trustee Reinders, McNaughton, Steinlen on this, and got their consensus as well. I do think it's a mixed neighborhood. What they're trying to do here is put hardy board. If you look at the actual plans itself, it looks like they have more than even the requirement of stone feature, so I have no issues whatsoever.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, I agree with Trustee Mason. We spoke at length about it, and I'm in agreement as well.
Trustee Stylen?
Yeah, same.
Trustee Fialko?
Yeah, like I said at the last meeting, when the one on the Boar Woods came up, that we have given this variance, and some people had said on this board that they want to stick to the ordinance. This is an example of where we've done that before. I know that the condition of 66% on the other item last week was a little bit different, but this is an example of how we are not amending, but giving a variance for the same thing. And anyway, I support it like I have in the past. I think this will fit into the neighborhood perfectly.
No HOA though, Trustee.
Madam Clerk?
Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
did you speak yet?
No.
Oh, Trustee Reinders, I totally skipped over you.
That's okay.
I thought you
What I
made
was
the
going to
motion.
say was there
Sorry.
is no HOA here, so therefore, I would definitely go with this. Hardy board is something that's being used so often these days. It's better than any kind of a vinyl finish or anything like that. So it's strong, and it actually withholds the weather, so I approve.
I assume the petitioner's here? There you are. All right.
You held the door for me, see?
May you ask him a question, please?
Would you mind stepping up to the podium? Mr. Trustee Fialco has a question for you.
Do you have an HOA? Do you belong to an HOA on King Road?
No.
No homeowners association at
No.
all? Fees of any kind?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations. All right, L2, consider a motion approving an amended recreational lease by and between Commonwealth Edison and the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois, for the construction and maintenance of the village's Heroes Trail Western Extension.
So moved.
Trustee Reinders.
second.
Trustee Mason. Any discussion?
We have several leases with ComEd for our trails, so this is no different, so I approve.
Trustee Mason.
Why would we not want to expand our beautiful areas? Absolutely.
Trustee Consolino.
I'm in firm support.
Trustee Fialko.
Nothing's really changed on this contractually, so I support it, yes.
Trustee Stylen.
Yeah, nothing's changed. The minor housekeeping items were just pretty much just replacing a name.
Trustee McNaughton.
Support it. Thank you.
I do have a question. Joe, since we have dirt bike and four-wheeler issues on these trails, or maybe this is for the attorney, I'm not really sure, but is there anything that we can work with ComEd about assisting us with this issue? Is there any, I mean, maybe it's not, doesn't have to be in the contract, but we need to really do something.
We've had some discussions with ComEd regarding trespassing on their property with dirt bikes. Those discussions haven't gone where they feel that it's an enforcement issue on their end. They do post signage. It is something enforceable by our Will County Sheriff's Department, which they do when they're able to apprehend these individuals on these vehicles.
So can the Will County Sheriff's Office pull someone over, sort of say, on ComEd property?
Yes.
Well, they can.
Yeah.
Can we push them to have more signage? I know at one point they put like these little barricade things up or
was gonna ask.
something.
They have done that in a number of areas. Obviously, motorcycles and dirt bikes go around them, it's not something that, and I think it maybe become some sort of a liability issue with when they put things up as well, with people driving. I don't know that for sure, but.
Yeah, can we schedule a phone call with them, maybe me
Yep.
and the attorney?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any old business? The only old business I have was, Trustee Consolino, you mentioned earlier that you had the tree program. Joe, didn't we have some residents already reach out for the trees?
Yeah, we got a list of some people that are interested in trees. Obviously, when planting season comes around, some of those also incorporate memorial trees. So we'll be reaching out to those individuals when it's tree planting time to coordinate that.
And how many, do you know how many off the top of your head there were
I
already?
think there was like 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
I know Parks has two trees that they're actually donating for memorial trees.
Yeah. Okay, just curious. All right, any new business?
May I ask, is when you talk about the ComEd property, and the only thing that we can really do, because that was a great point on the liability issue, because I thought the same thing, just like New Orleans or whatever, putting in a barrier, but obviously motorcycles can go around that. But is there anything that they can do on signage to help reinforce?
I'll reach out to ComEd to put up some more signage. Obviously, they've had it up there for years, and signage like stop signs and other
They
types
don't
of
pay
signs
attention.
aren't always effective.
All right. Thank you, sir. I think we have a question back there.
We can't, I know you're my mother and all, and you'll yell at me later, but we can't have public comment right now. I love you. Okay. Any new business?
Well, under old business.
Oh, we're still under old? Okay, old.
Yes, we talked about streetlights and being proactive instead of reactive. I was just wondering if we have an update as to what we may or may have not done to move in that direction since the last time.
That we've posted something on our website asking residents to notify us if they see a street light out in their subdivision. And our Public Works Department is also on their runs with salting and plowing. Look around for street lights that also may be out.
And they have repaired several throughout some of the subdivisions, because in my travels, I've viewed them, and I've had residents say thank you for doing so. So there has been some that are actively being repaired.
Yeah, I assume, is it okay to speak?
Yeah, yeah. It's going well, so no issues.
And with that said, though, we were going to come up with a list of all the lights in the village and a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet that would identify whether it's ComEd's or not, and if it's ours, and the size of the bulb possibly, and a number for the light. So I want to keep pushing that effort to make us more proactive than reactive. And I get what you're saying, yeah, the plows are going out, but I also we talked about having maybe once a year or twice a year, having a group of go out and also look for the lights that are out. So we're not waiting for somebody to, or the neighbor's not saying, well, I thought my neighbor would call it in, they live closer to it, kind of thing. So I just want to keep moving in that direction, that we're more proactive to making sure the streetlights are actively working. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, new business. Anybody on this side? Anybody on this side? The only thing I had for new business was there's a lot of talk about the social media on blocking people, not blocking people, and all that stuff. We obviously just all got a quick lesson. There was a hearing that took place, I don't even know where, but a hearing took place somewhere about social media posts. So in turn, came back to the village of why the village doesn't allow comments on their Facebook, their village page. It's because, unfortunately, there's some board members up here that have had some serious threats. Some people have placed some serious threats on some board members. They're just sitting up here today. So we thought it was in the best interest not to allow comments on posts. We've also received some very serious threatening emails as well. So I don't want anyone thinking that the reason why we stop the comments is for any other reason than it's not necessary to have a trustee or myself or any village staff member receive such threatening messages. And some residents have received threatening messages from other residents. So I just wanted to make that very, very clear, that if there's a resident that has an issue or a question, please email, call, pop in the office. There's other ways to communicate with this village than Facebook or social media. Okay, does anybody have anything to add on that? No?
I would think that, yes, I do. I was not aware of anybody on this board being threatened by anyone. And if that is truly the case, I would like those kind of comments brought to executive session so this whole board knows about it. I don't know who knows. That's the first time I'm hearing about it. But really, that should be something that's shared with the board and that we all are on the same page with that. Because, I mean, obviously with the most recent thing, with the social media thing that we voted on last time, I believe that would have been good information to have that I didn't have till now.
I was under the impression that you did receive some. Yeah, this is open conversation, but Attorney Pasquinelli, can we talk about that in executive session?
I'm sorry, I don't really know what that is.
So what Trustee Fialco is talking about is when another board member receives a threat, like
Their personal email?
No, through social media, through the village.
So on our village Facebook page, some board members have received life-threatening comments and via email as well.
I think that needs to be reported immediately to the police department.
But what Trustee Fialco is asking, but the Trustee Fialco is asking if we can talk about that, like who sent it and what the email was and what the Facebook post was in executive session.
Well, more about it. I don't think it's
I don't think I was saying that specific, especially if you don't know.
I don't mind sharing it.
I'm just saying, letting the board know that this has taken place. Here was the threat, a copy of the email, a copy of the text, whatever it is. This board should know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, maybe the medium in exec session probably isn't, we would have to discuss how that format would work, but I think that it would make sense to, consistent with the Open Meetings Act, certainly.
Yep.
To share with other board members the fact that you're getting threatening emails because it's a health, safety, and welfare concern. You know, if someone is out there that's communicating with, let's say, trustee A, they may also be trying to communicate with trustee B, and everybody should be apprised of it. Or it makes sense to make everybody apprised of it.
I agree.
So-
And certainly, and we know how to make communications, and there's email communications, email chains where that do comply with OMA, certainly, that certainly can be used. Maybe if you just contact one individually, and that person then would share that post or that information to the next trustee and so on and so forth to be consistent with OMA.
Okay. So you guys will get a copy of all of that then?
And just for instance.
I thought you did.
The village board, may I say something?
Yeah.
The village board cannot communicate, a quorum of the village board cannot communicate with each other outside of open session unless it's an executive session.
Can you turn your mic on, please?
I'm sorry. The village board of trustees are bound by what they call the Open Meeting Act. If there's a quorum of trustees that, let's say, are meeting in an office someplace, and there's a quorum that's there, a sufficient number of them there that are discussing business, that arguably could run afoul of the Open Meeting Act. So they need to speak in open session here so the public can see it. There's an exception to that, and that would be matters of attorney-client privilege, whether communicating with myself or members of my firm, or matters of executive session. And there are 4 specific criteria and a couple more that fit the definition of executive session, but I certainly don't want to get into that. But these trustees can individually send an email to one of their fellow trustees without copying all of them, but just to one of their fellow trustees to apprise them of a threatening contact.
Just
I think that
one?
would make sense, yes. Well, and I don't want to get into the exact number because you don't want to have a number that constitutes a quorum. We're not going to get into that at this point. But certainly if trustee A shares it with trustee B, that would not be a violation. That makes complete sense because that's a health, safety, and welfare concern.
Okay, may I?
Yeah.
Going one little teaspoon further, I get what you're saying, but under possible pending litigation, if the police have been called, that is a subject matter that could be discussed in executive session.
Certainly, and certainly, and I think what Trustee Fialko, what
I
you're
thought we were
sharing-
skipping over that, though.
No, but I think that what you're saying is that there could be potential for some sort of a civil protection order or some sort of thing, maybe not civil protection, but some sort of no contact order or action by a police department. That would be consistent with the pending or imminent litigation, and that would qualify under the terms of an executive session discussion, so yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So initially, when we brought this up, so this is after the fact, and as I won't be as eloquent as Mr. Pasquinelli, but it was brought to one or more of our attentions individually after the fact, but that is not why we passed the ordinance in the beginning. It just adds to it. The initial reason we passed the ordinance was because of the workload that was being dumped, trying to filter through the nonsense of questions that weren't even relevant to the topics or the subjects that were being brought up with the village. That is why we initially passed the ordinance. The issues that arise later were brought to individuals' attentions outside of AB, one at a time. And so, yes, I think if there is pending issues going on, we could probably talk about it at later dates, provided we set a standard for that conversation.
Point of privilege for a second, if you don't mind. I'd like to, Mike, I think we're getting a little bit of backfeed.
We are. There's something
The
going
gain
on,
is a
yeah.
little too high or something on the system, and it's happening with several mics. Okay,
Was that it?
I don't know,
Thank you.
we'll see.
No. Was that what you wanted to say? Was that all you wanted to say, or did you want to jump in? Okay.
That was good. That was good, Trustee Fialko. You're
Yeah,
the best one.
If I may just quickly add, Trustee Fialko, the only thing that I was talking about in regards, if a trustee A, for instance, receives a threatening communication, it makes sense to communicate to trustee B, because we may not be able to assemble an executive session promptly. We may have to, it might wait 7 days until we're all here, where it can qualify for executive session, we can all talk about it, so it makes sense to transmit it via email in advance of that.
Both.
Yes,
Can't hurt with both.
you got it.
And the other reason that we turned off the public comment was because if the village puts something out there and it's, an invite to Homer for the holidays, and then somebody's asking me a question via that page, and then trustee Reinders sees it, or trustee Consolino, or somebody else, that can correlate an Open Meetings Act too for all discussing a matter that can, and we might not be able to see each other on it, or might not see that the comment was had because you were, tagged in it. Social media is weird, but it's just to protect everybody from making any mistakes.
You could be blocked.
Not anymore. All right, was there any more new business? Nobody else? All right, workshop? None? Executive session, are we going into executive session?
Briefly.
Okay, we're going into executive session to discuss regarding personnel, pending litigation, and review of executive session minutes.
And utility.
And what?
Utilities.
And
Utility.
utilities.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mason, trustee Reiners, all in favor? Aye. All right, we're going to go into executive session. Here she comes.